This is D. Orlando Ledbetter of the Bowtie Sports Podcast, and today we have a very special treat for you. The Falcons don't have OTAs this week, so we're going to pivot and get you ready for the NBA Finals with the Bookshot Podcast featuring Rob Warren. Rob, say hello to the folks.
Everybody, what's going on? D-Led, thanks for the opportunity, my brother.
All right, you're welcome, Rob. Rob is a diehard Knicks fan, long-suffering. He writes about them on his Facebook page and has quite the following. And today he's going to share with us some of his views about the upcoming NBA Finals with the Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs. Go right ahead, Rob. Take it away.
So, good evening again, folks. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rob Warren. One of my many nicknames is Buck. Hence Buckshot Sports, a Buckshot podcast. Full transparency, you see my Knicks hat. So been a fan for 59 years since we drafted Walt Frazier when I was in the second grade, and still keep a pair of suede Pumas on my rotation. So I've been at this Knicks journey for a very, very long time, and I know Daryl can understand, Orlando can understand, when you love a team and they've got a championship drought, every year you think it's going to be your year. Even the years it's not your year, it's like, well, maybe this is the year. So this is the closest we've been since 1999 when we faced these same San Antonio Spurs. But that was a different team. That was a team that missed Patrick Ewing, an 8 seed that went up against Tim Duncan, David Robinson. So I'm feeling good about it, but I promise to be objective. I've always liked the Spurs. If I wasn't a New Yorker, the Spurs might be a team that I would really get behind, but I've always liked Coach Pop, and I've always liked the way the Spurs draft and they carry themselves, the way they develop their players. So, but I'm still a Knicks fan, and I will be objective. And let's take it away.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and dive into the NBA Finals.
The Bowtie Files is proudly presented by the Fears Group at Morgan Stanley in Atlanta. Led by Sonia Balfour Fears, certified financial planner, the Fears Group helps athletes, entertainers, and families build wealth that lasts beyond the headlines. With retirement planning, philanthropy, and global sports and entertainment expertise tailored to your stage of life. Map your future with a team that takes the long view. Call 470-449-0812 or visit advisor.morganstanley.com/the Fears Group. The Fears Group at Morgan Stanley, supporting your goals every step of the way.
All right, we're back here, and we're going to start with each team's playoff journey. Rob, take it away.
So everyone thinks the West is this playoff crucible, but if you look at the Knicks beat the Hawks. There was some trepidation early when C.J. McCollum was straight up cooking Jalen Brunson. And Mikal Bridges has decided he didn't want to play ball, didn't want to shoot. But somehow we turned the corner in game 4 and haven't lost since. So we beat the Hawks at full strength. We beat the Sixers at full strength. We beat the Cavaliers, who were kind of scary. We beat them at full strength. And we not just beat them, we beat them badly. So the thing is, as a Knicks fan, I would have preferred to beat Boston and Detroit. We play who we play. Spurs beat the Trailblazers, who were just as much a playoff neophytes as the Spurs are. They beat the Timberwolves, who are not at full strength. Anthony Edwards was hurt. DiVincenzo went down with the Achilles. And Julius Randle, as a lot of Knicks fans did Julius Randle things in the playoffs, turned the ball over and shot bricks. And then they beat the Thunder, even though they were defending champions. They were not at full strength. They were missing their second best player in Jalen Williams. They were missing A.J. Mitchell, who became another shot creator. And Chet Holmgren became the tallest short man ever in life. Now, they still beat the champions, but the thought is that both teams are evenly matched. I mean, they both had, no team gets to the playoffs on a humble. You got to play. You play to give you. And for the Knicks, they came and smoked everybody to the point where I'm like, they got 11 straight wins. I've not seen the Knicks play this well, and I'm old enough to remember the 70 and 73 championships. Those teams, they were not offensively dynamic. So the thing is, the one thing I do like about both teams, and if I can veer off to here, I like the way they're built. I think we finally gotten away from that whole big three thing. At one point after LeBron and Bosh and and Wade put together that big three. Everybody felt they had to have big three superstars. I have to admire the Spurs because everybody, all their stars for the most part, except for Fox, are draft picks. The Knicks were built through smart trades, um, smart free agent signings. Jalen Brunson, I know I wanted Donovan Mitchell back in 2022. And I always liked Brunson. I saw Brunson as being like an 18.7 assist guy, steadying influence. I had no idea he was going to be this 25, 30 point a game scorer. But the thing is, we've made smart decisions. And I go back to the days of Phil Jackson, Isaiah Thomas, when it just seemed like they were sent to the Knicks to sabotage it. I remember, I think it was the 2017 draft when we drafted Frank Ntilikina with Donovan Mitchell and Kyle Kuzma still on the board, and I came very close to throwing my shoe through a TV. That was when the Knicks about to break my heart. I was about to start cheating on my team, but we built a good team. We built a team that's ready to win, and you can't even. So we have two playoff neophytes here. There's nobody in the Spurs that has, except for Harrison Barnes, that has playoff championship experience. With Brunson, Bridges, and Hart, they've done it on the collegiate level. Different stage, but they know how to win. They know how to win in big games. And I think that the way these teams are put together, I see, and we'll talk about this in the matchups later, I do think this is a very well-made series. And it's going to be a good series, whether you're a fan of the Knicks or the Spurs. I think this is going to be an instant classic for the NBA.
And given that, can you discuss the gross incompetence of the previous Knicks regimes that they've had some tough times?
Yeah, Isaiah Thomas, arguably the third, no worse than the third or fourth best point guard of all time. Phil Jackson, as a coach, he's up there. Probably Red Auerbach, Phil Jackson, 1 and 2 in terms of coaching victories or just coaching acumen, but just horrible management. I do remember Isaiah Thomas paying a combined $100 million, which is a lot of money at the time, for the underwhelming Eddie Curry, who was about 6'10" and 700 pounds, who would only average 4 points a game, and Jerome Snacks James. You never give that kind of money to a big man whose nickname is Snacks. And I think they played about a combined 40, 50 games for the Knicks. Again, I talk about French Frank. Jackson's whole thing where he just wanted to ride Carmelo out of town. And it just seemed like whenever we had a chance to do something good, we always took the opposite way. It got to the point where guys would tease us because everybody wants to play in the Garden, but then they didn't want to come here because the management was so bad. And I was really afraid that we were about to go down that path again. We fired Coach Thibodeau, who I like, but as they say about Coach Tibbs wouldn't play 9 guys in a baseball game. But I love Coach Brown, and I said, well, and I always thought Coach Brown was a teaching coach. He was good with LeBron early. He was in Sacramento when he went there and coached those young guys up with De'Aaron Fox and DeMontis Sabonis. But I said, if you're going to fire a guy like Tibbs, you got to find somebody demonstrably better. He's really shocked me. So I think the Knicks have finally turned the corner from the incompetence. I know from listening about what's happened to Charles Oakley, I'm not going to talk bad about ownership because they might make me give away all my Knicks paraphernalia. So I think Dolan has taken a page out of the late George Steinbrenner's book, and maybe the owner of the Orioles, Angelos, let me sit back, write the checks, and let the experts do what they do. But it was some years where we had a couple of times where under Mike Woodson, when Melo was playing small ball fall, and we were kind of rolling then. But it's been a wasteland. It's really been a wasteland. And again, when you really love a team and you put your heart and soul into it, say, look, I'm just a guy sitting on the couch, but I think I can do a little bit better than this. So now I feel comfortable letting experts do what they do. And I will say this, I was, again, a little dismayed when we got rid of Randall. For all of his flaws, he was a Knick. He was a bruiser. And unlike his load management peers, Randall showed up every day. And I was a little leery about Cat, but now I love Cat.
Okay.
I love Cat. Love him.
Well, hey, I got ready for this today watching Soul Power on Prime. That's the documentary on the ABA. I binge watched the whole 4 episodes. That was nice. And then they went to the documentary Jerry West, the Logo. Kind of give you the complex nuance of all his work going back to the '60s. At West Virginia, all the way, up through the Lakers, the Clippers, the Grizzlies, the Advisors,
Warriors.
and
Yeah.
the Warriors, then the Clippers. So that was good. He was a complex dude, but knew had an eye for talent.
And if you, I put that in perspective, I was born in 1960. Jerry
Mhm.
West is part of the NBA. Guess he died in 2024. For all
Mhm.
of my 64 years at that time, he had been the NBA.
Yeah, I remember seeing him as a kid at the end there in '72 when the Lakers with Zelmo Beatty and Gail
Mhm.
Goodrich came to the land there. So that was an honor to see that. But yeah, that was a good way to get ready for the finals. We're gonna come back. You're gonna give us some matchups. I'm saving my Mikal Bridges stuff for later. But yeah, let's good introduction there. Good way to get us rolling here. We're going to take another break and come back and get into some of the matchups. And, at the end, we're going to have a prediction here for you, too.
Oh yeah.
Looking
So
for a night that actually feels like one? Step into the Patio Social Club, Atlanta's destination for sultry music, stirring conversation, and a one-of-a-kind open-air cigar lounge where time slows down and every conversation lands a little deeper. Inclusive excellence is in everything they do. Reserve your spot tonight. Call 470-815-1860 or find them online. The Patio Social Club. Escape, unwind, and take the night somewhere different.
All right, we're back here. We're doing the Buckshots podcast with Rob Ward here. Bowtie Sports is venturing out. We're doing some basketball here to help you get ready for the NBA Finals. And wow, I know you spent some time getting ready, so I don't want to give my breakdowns. I don't know what you do with Wemby, but that's going to be interesting. And I think it's a couple wild cards in here, but I'm going to let you tell the listeners what you see in the matchups coming in the NBA Finals.
well, getting ready for this podcast, I was watching my usual watching PTI and watching Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon go back and forth. And Kornheiser was saying that Brunson is going to be a problem, that no one on the Spurs can guard him. I don't think that's true, but Kornheiser's take was Brunson is so crafty and he's so physically strong. So I think that the Spurs are long, and I look at Stephon Castle. He's like this generation's Jimmy Butler. He does a lot of things well. Some games is going to be scoring. Some games is going to be rebounding. If he limits the turnovers, he's a good distributor. He's got that edge. I think that Fox can be taken advantage of defensively. Vassell, when he first came in, was more of a shooter, but he's also long. Now Wemby, he's an alien, as they say. He is the real unicorn. And I'll veer off on this. People used to get mad at Ralph Sampson back in the day because he was 7'4", wanted jack up shots.
Mm-hmm.
All of these guys, Wemby, even going back to Nowitzki, they need to pay royalties to Ralph Sampson. What Wemby's doing is what Ralph Sampson was doing 40 years ago. But so Wemby is not the matchup problem that I think is going to be. Now, a lot of this hinges on Mitchell Robinson and that pinky. So not like Robinson shoots a lot anyway. We need him to rebound. So my thought is you put a combination of Robinson and Anunoby on Wemby. Keep Cat out of foul trouble. The other thing is, unlike Hartenstein and Gobert and Holmgren, Wemby's going to have to check Cat. And Cat's even said he's the best shooting big man in the league. Now, and the other thing is, so with the adjustments that Coach Brown made after the NBA Cup when the Knicks had that 8 or 9 game slide, he's starting to put Cat as a point center when they get in the half court. So Cat is kind of setting up at the elbow, from the elbow to the foul line. And that's when he just starts to make his decision. He's either passing, setting picks, or going to the hole. So, and the other thing is Wemby is still thin, so you can knock him off his pins. I was watching the way Hartenstein guarded him, and he's not scared, but the physicality knocks him off. So, and I think the wild card for the Knicks is Anunoby. I watched him against Atlanta when he got going. I watched him against Philly when he was healthy against Philly, and against Cleveland. He plays power forward like a linebacker. When he goes straight to the hole, Nobody can stop him. The one thing that San Antonio doesn't have for all the talent, they don't have a true power forward in the team. Harrison Barnes plays like a small ball forward, but I think Harrison's like 6'8", about 230. Um, Josh Hart is a key. I think Castle is going to be a better version than Hart, but right now, Hart is that guy that he's like Caruso on the Thunder.
Yeah.
Danny Ainge back in the old days.
Mhm.
You hated these guys when they were on another team, but you needed a guy like this on your team. So Hart is going to be that guy who's switching off. He's switching off on Castle. He's going to harass Fox. We know that Brunson is a liability on defense, but now we have enough people around them to hide that. Other thing is, I think the Knicks under Coach Brown, unlike Coach Tibbs, they go 9 or 10 deep. So
Okay.
the last time we played San Antonio, Shamet wasn't healthy. So
Mhm.
I realized that Shamet was this good, and he's a
Right.
lot longer than you think. So he can play on the ball, play off the ball. He's a defender. He rebounds, and when he gets hot, it's going to be crazy. But the thing is, if Wemby decides to channel his inner Kareem,
Mhm.
all of this analysis is toast.
Right.
So I watched him in that series. There were a lot of games where he just tended to hang out at the foul line, hanging on the wings. If Wemby decides to dominate, then that becomes a problem. But I think we match up very well, and I actually prefer this matchup rather than Oklahoma City, more so because Oklahoma City, they've got a system where everybody who comes in, if SGA goes out, whoever steps in, they're going to drop 20. Jalen Williams goes out, someone else is going to drop 20.
Mhm.
And Lou Dort is kind of like uh, this is going way back to Alvin Robertson
Mhm.
back in the days. He just comes out and brutalizes people. And so I could see him brutalizing Brunson. I could see him banging against Anunoby. So I think the matchups are going to go well. I think the key is Cat can't make stupid fouls. If Cat plays his game the way he's been playing, I think that's going to give us an edge. And again, Robinson is also a key. Robinson comes in there. He's a disruptor. And we also have 6 fouls in Ariel Haporti. Not really a skilled guy, but he's active, 7 feet, 240, bounces around. If we just have to save Cat and Robinson, you throw him out there and let him bang around for 6 fouls.
Mhm.
And the one thing that gets me is the guy, Luke Cornett. We had him years ago. He was
Yeah.
a victory cigar. I mean, he never got off the bench. So I think sometimes guys go to places like Boston and San
Uh-huh.
Antonio, and there's some pixie dust from Red Auerbach and the Leprechaun, or Popovich gets in there in San Antonio and say, "Wait a minute, I belong here." So
Mhm.
I think that's the only other big guy on the Spurs that scares me. Uh,
Yeah, Cornette. That's Frank Cornette's son, and his mom works in Nashville with Danielle Ledbetter. They're at the
okay,
same
okay.
section there, so we know the Cornettes and wish them well. Hey, where did Shama? He comes in the Cavs series and starts lighting it up like Vinny Microwave. What was that?
Yeah, the thing is, and I've been following him for years when he was a Philly, and
Hmm.
he was always inconsistent, and it may be just be his playing time,
Hmm.
but he could always shoot. But I always saw him just as a shooter. But I
Hmm.
do I do know he played point when he was at Wichita State. I
Okay.
think he and Van Vliet kind of
Yeah.
bounce off each other.
Hmm.
But I was just surprised at the handle. I was
Hmm.
surprised at the rebounding, and he's an in-your-face defender. But
Okay.
the key thing is the shooting. So what also allows it to do when Brunson is getting those times when Fox or whomever might be taking Brunson to task defensively, you can
Hmm.
rest Brunson, you can put Shaman in there, and we got the wild man Alvarado. Now he's a
Right.
New
Yeah.
York
Georgia
guy, he's
Tech.
pumped,
Yeah.
but Grand Theft Alvarado.
Hmm.
So I think, and the thing is, people looked at the offense. I think the stats say that the Knicks were the second, maybe the first or second team in defensive rating since
Hmm.
the Cup. So we're not only just outscoring people, we're shutting folks down. And Cat has begun to play defense. I watched him block shots. He's fouling a whole lot less. So I think the key again is how it matches up with the big guys.
Hmm. And how do you see Mikal Bridges and what he's going to need to do in this series consistently for the Knicks to, prevail?
Mikal needs to play the same way he played against the back end of the Atlanta series,
Hmm.
straight through Cleveland. run the floor, play defense, because his defense dropped off a whole lot after he left Phoenix. I think when he went to Brooklyn, he was forced to be something besides himself. They made him the number one guy, and Bridges has always been a glue guy. So at one point, he had stopped driving to the basket and he was just settling for jumpers. So now he's going to the rim. He's got to be aggressive on offense. He's got to use that long wingspan to kind of corral those long wings that they have for San Antonio, and also some help defense, because Wemby likes to put the ball on the floor a lot. So he needs to back off some time and do some help defense. But as long as he plays the way he's been playing, stay aggressive on offense, take the corner three when it's there. But those drives he makes when you can't stop him, I think if Mikal plays the way he's been playing, gives us 17 to 20 points a game, tough defense, he's going to be a key.
Yeah, and then do you think, and we'll move on, we'll have a break after this, but I think Wemby, if he gets the sky hook, he'd be unstoppable.
Yeah, I think if the Knicks or whomever don't win this year, it might be a wrap, because all of those guys are young.
Yeah.
And I haven't studied to see what kind of draft picks they have, but most of these guys are going to be in their rookie contracts for at least the next 3-4 years, and with bird rights, they can re-sign all these guys, depending on what the second apron does. But I think if Wemby gets about 20 more pounds on him and develops a go-to move like a sky hook, it's going to be crazy.
All right, no doubt. Here we're going to take another break, and we're going to come back with our game-by-game predictions and then our most valuable player projection.
When the stakes are high and the deadline is real, you need a partner who can move the work forward. That's Marietta Project Management, LLC. Specializing in expert corp-to-corp project management, MPM helps companies deploy solutions, manage change, and deliver results without the chaos. From scoping to handoff, they own the outcome. Visit MariettaPM.com to start the conversation. Marietta Project Management. From plan to delivery, done right.
All right, we're back here at the Buckshot Podcast with Rob Warren. This is I've been waiting for this all day. I want to hear his game-by-game predictions for the NBA Finals, which will start on June the 3rd on Wednesday. And then we'll be in that dark sports area where we don't have anything until football. But we're fired up here at the Bowtie Sports and fired up to present you the Buckshot Podcast and the NBA Finals to get you ready for the Knicks and Spurs. Take it away, Rob.
Well, there's always summer league after the NBA season starts. So if you're a real hoops junkie, then there's always summer league. So first two games, San Antonio's a home team. I think the Knicks steal game one. They're rested. I think that the Spurs have come off a really grueling series, and they might be in a little bit of a celebratory mode, having climbed that mountain. I think the Knicks steal game one. Won't give any scores. And for those who are listening, I'm not giving scores. I don't want anybody to gamble and lose and then blame me.
Right.
The Knicks win game one. Spurs come back and take game two. Go to the Garden. I see the Knicks taking both games in the Garden. I think that one of those games is going to be a 2-overtime thriller. Go back to San Antonio for game 5. San Antonio routs the Knicks. Come back to game 6. The Knicks are feeling desperate. They don't want to go back to Texas. We close out the series in 6.
Whoa, Knicks in 6. That hey, it's 11 straight, right? They've the Hawks have been the only team to beat them. I've been impressed with how tough they're playing as a team. And several guys stepping up, filling their roles. What Brunson did to James Harden in game 1 should be criminal. but yeah, they that was the only chance they came back from 22 to win that one, and nobody's played with them in the East. Now I know the West is supposed to be the better teams are supposed to be in the West, but we're gonna see if the Knicks could do it. And Rob's given a prediction where they're gonna win it in 6. Knicks in 6. You heard it here first on the Buckshot Podcast. Now, if that happens, who's the who is the most valuable player?
I think it's going to go to the captain, Jalen Brunson. I think Brunson is built for this. I think he's got that same chip on his shoulders. A lot of guys. He was a second-round pick, even after coming out of college as a two-time champion. So Dallas undervalued him. He took a contract less than his value. I think that Brunson's going to be the MVP of the series.
All right, no doubt about it. Well, hey, we're going to keep that. We'll have it. It'll be posted online. We'll go to Rob's Facebook page, and we'll post on the Bowtie Sports platforms also here. Just before we go, just a couple Falcons housekeeping things. No ATAs this week. They come back next week and finish up with OTAs. Then the June mini camp is the 16th through the 18th. There's some video of James Pierce working out with Marcus Howard. So, he hasn't been around. He's been dealing with his own personal issues. But he's getting ready for the season. So those are kind of our there was a lot of news in the league today. June 1st, we had the Myles Garrett trade out of Cleveland, A.J. Brown to New England. We even got Serena coming back in tennis. So it was a busy, busy day. But we want to get you ready for the NBA Finals with our guy, Rob Warren. We've been talking about getting his podcast started, and hey, I was like, hey, we can do this now.
Thank you, my brother. I wanted to ask you, man, is Phil Jackson in your front office with the Cleveland Browns or Isaiah Thomas? Giving away the best player in the league?
Yeah, we got Andrew Berry and we got Kathy Hickerson. I believe that's her name. She's going to be a GM one day, one of the highest ranking ladies in the NFL. But yeah, the Browns have struggled.
But I think veering on my lane, but they got some draft picks. And Jared Verse is a two-time Pro Bowler, so
Jared Verse can play. The Falcon people know him. He was one of the people that they bypassed when they took the quarterback after they just paid after they took Cousins, paid Cousins. They drafted Penix when Jared Verse was on the board. He goes later to the Rams, but yeah, Jared Verse goes to Cleveland. It's a 1, and I haven't seen the ancillary, the additional draft picks.
They got a 1 in 27, a 2 in 28, and a third round of 29, I think.
Okay, and the Browns have historically messed up those draft picks from going back to the Julio Jones trade.
They drafted Tim Couch #1.
They had Timmy Couch #1. We thought he was going to work. I don't want to get me started on the list of Brown quarterbacks here. We're veering off into no man's land.
It's how the Knicks used to be.
Right, exactly. So, maybe they'll get it turned around there up in Cleveland, but I don't, if the guys can play football, you try to keep those guys.
Right.
But, the guys that can't play, you can try to get rid of those guys. But here you got the defensive player of the year getting traded. So that's a pretty big one. But that's what happened in football. Just had to give a little football wrap. Rob, hey, tell the folks where they could find you. Moving forward here. You're not a big social media guy, but you do Facebook.
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, and I am working on a podcast, Buckshot podcast. So stay tuned for that. It's in development, and hopefully within the next couple of months or so, you'll be hearing from me.
All right. Well, hey, Rob, thanks so much for coming by, and we're going to stay in touch and keep, we probably, when the Knicks winning in 6, we're going to have you back on.
Blue and orange skies, my brother. Blue and orange skies.
All righty.
Appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you.
All right.